So good morning students. In last class we have studying the monohybrid cross as well as the dihybrid cross, and today we are going on the discussing that is a sex linked and inheritance. So here coming to the next one, the sex linked inheritance. So here there are two types of, already we know that there are in our body, they consist of two types of the chromosomes are presenting the chromosomes. The two types of chromosomes are presenting. The two types of chromosomes are, one is the autosomes, autosomes are otherwise called as somatic chromosomes. And second one is the allosomes. Allosomes, or otherwise we can call them as the sex chromosomes. So here there are two types of chromosomes, autosomes and the somatic. That means autosomes means here there are these are the chromosomes which helpful for the development. That is, these chromosomes are helpful for the growth and development of a body. That means these are helpful for the growth and development of the body, and these are does not having any important role in the genetics. Why means here these are helpful for only the development, for growth and development only, so that we can call as a somatic, means we can call them as a body cells. We can call them as the body cells or body chromosomes. We can call them as the body chromosomes, which helpful for the growth and development, does not having any important in the in the genetics or in the inheritance. This does not having any important role. But the second type, that is allosomes, are the sex chromosomes. Here there consist of a pair of sex chromosomes are presenting. The sex chromosomes are presenting, where it helpful for identification of male and identification of a male and female. Helpful for the identification of a male and female. So here we are having a pair of sex chromosomes are presenting. So these sex chromosomes, that means what are the somatic chromosomes are presenting. That somatic chromosomes will helpful for the controlling of the sex chromosomes. So here it helpful for, that means the the somatic chromosomes which determines by the genes. That means somatic characters or somatic chromosomes determined by the genes which are present on the sex chromosomes. Such inheritance, such we can call as sex linked characters, and their inheritance we can call as a sex linked inheritance. So here what is an sex linked inheritance means, here we can write, we can define as that means here how we can able to identify the sex chromosomes, that is the how we can able to identified means what is a sex-linked inheritance means the somatic characters, certain genes present on the sex chromosomes controlled by the somatic characters. That means the genes, certain genes which are present on the sex chromosomes that are controlled by the somatic characters. So here the somatic characters will determined by the genes which are present on the sex chromosomes, which are determined on the sex chromosomes are called as sex-linked characters, and their inheritance we can call them as presence genes present on the sex chromosome. So you can call as sex-linked characters, and then inheritance we can call them as the sex-linked inheritance. That is the somatic characters. Here what are these means? What is the sex-linked inheritance means? The somatic characters, the somatic characters, the somatic characters determined, the somatic characters determined by the genes, by the genes present on the sex chromosomes, is called as sex-linked characters. So is called as sex-linked characters, and their inheritance, is called as a sex-linked inheritance. Is called as a sex-linked an inheritance. That is the somatic characters which are presenting on the, that means that determined on the sex chromosomes. So such characters we can call as a sex-linked characters, and the inheritance which are transferring from one generation to the another generation. So such linked we can call them as a sex-linked an inheritance. So here the sex-linked inheritance which are presenting here, these are consisting of some characters are presenting where these characters will shows that is it shows a zigzag inheritance. It shows the zigzag inheritance or a crisscross inheritance. It shows a zigzag inheritance or a crisscross and inheritance are taken place. That is what is zigzag inheritance or crisscross inheritance means. Here these what is zigzag or crisscross inheritance means, that is from the father that characters are transferred to the daughter. Here daughters are, we can call them as the carrier daughter. From carrier daughter to the grandson, that the character is arises. That means from the father to the daughter, that is a carrier daughter, that is carrying to the grandson. This type of inheritance is called as zigzag inheritance or crisscross. That means from one generation is left over to the another generation, this character will be arising. That is from the father generation to the a daughter, that is that character will be arised to their grandson. So this type of inheritance we can call as a zigzag inheritance or called as a crisscross and inheritance. So here the zigzag inheritance or crisscross or some genes, some chromosomes, some genes may also express only to the males only. It is helpful in Y chromosomes. Here it passes only to the males, that is to the sons only, from father to the, here from it passes only from father to the sons only, that is a Y-linked an inheritance. And also here if you see here in this in males, here only one X chromosome is passing to their generations, but here in females will passes it will the X chromosome will passes both to the daughters as well as sons, that is transported, that is that Y chromosome, that means the X chromosome which is presenting in the males, that is passes only to the males only, that is passes to the only to the sons only it is passing. But X chromosome which is present in the females, that are passing both, that is passing to the sons and daughters, that X chromosomes are passing over. And here these the sex linked inheritance, the sex linked inheritance are classified into three types. These are classified into three types. These are classified into three types. What are the three types? Means first one is an X-linked inheritance, X-linked inheritance, and second one is the Y-linked inheritance, and the third one is XY linked inheritance. So here there are three types of an inheritance are presenting. What are that? Means X-linked inheritance and Y-linked inheritance and XY linked inheritance. So here what is X-linked inheritance? Means the somatic characters determine the genes which are present on the an X chromosome, which are determined on the, that means the somatic characters determined by the genes present on the X chromosome is called as X-linked characters, and their inheritance we can call as an X-linked inheritance. That means on the chromosomes the somatic characters are determined on the an X chromosome. So we can call an X chromosome, these are affecting. So that somatic characters are present on the X chromosome of a genes, that X chromosome of a gene, here that is taken place. So such link is called as X-linked characters we can call, and their inheritance we can call as an X-linked inheritance. And here in X-linked inheritance, that is X-linked inheritance we can call as, here examples we can taken place. An example, if you taken place, here we taken place as the color blindness, and also hemophilia. So these are the two examples where it takes place in the X-linked inheritance. And now coming to this X-linked inheritance. So here a color blindness. Here a color blindness, we can take an place an example for a color blindness or a hemophilia. So here a color blindness, what is the color blind means? We cannot identify, the person cannot able to identify the colors, then we can call as the color blindness. So out of there are 150 colors are presenting, only we can able to identify, distinguish 15 colors only can be distinguished, then such type of blindness we can call as a color blindness. So here there are two type of a color blindness are presenting. One we can call as the monochromatism, and second one is the dichromatism. That means here monochromatic means the person cannot identify any type of colors. He cannot able to identify the any type of colors, then we can call as the monochromatism. And dichromatism, here dichromatism is also called as Daltonism, where Daltonism, where he identified, here it was introduced by the scientist Dalton. So instead of his name we can call that as the Daltonism, where it is differentiated into two types, that is the protonopia, and second one is deuteranopia. Here the persons, what are protonopia means? The person which cannot able to identify the red colors. That means the person cannot able to identify the red color. Here the person cannot able to identify the red colors, we can call them as protonopians. That means cannot identify the red color. So such condition we can call as a protonopians, where here they can be able to, instead of that means droponopians, here the protonopians, the blindness which cannot, where the person cannot identify the red color. So gray instead of red. Gray, here we cannot identify the red color. So you can see here the gray instead of a red color. So you cannot able to identify, totally red cannot be able to identify. So instead of red, here the gray color is identified. That means gray instead of a red color. So next deuteronopians, here the person cannot identify the green color. So here it is taken place gray instead of a green. Gray instead of green. So here you cannot identify the green color. So here you cannot identify the gray instead of a green color. So these are the two type of the chromatism. One is protonopians and deuteranopians. Now here this dichromatism is also called as a Daltonism. Why you can call as Daltonism means here it was introduced by the scientist Dalton. Here it was introduced by the scientist Dalton. So instead of his name we can call this as a Daltonism. And here coming to an example how the color blindness is transmitted from one generation to the another generations. Example, color blindness. So here a normal woman is crossed with a color blindness men. So here we can take place here we can take in place that is XX is crossed with so here X Y. So here it is taken place here when it is crossed here. Here when it is crossed here what happens? Here X Y XS and XY. So here we are able to get the carrier, that is the carrier. Here we can able to get here the normal suns are produces. Here the normal the suns are produces. So here we can take in place as the normal suns. So here we are able to get this is the color blindness. So here it is we can call in F1 generation. Here we can call this as that is the carrier mother. Here it is this character is a carrier daughter, and normal sons. So this carrier daughter is crossed with the, that means here the carrier daughter is crossed with normal men. Here normal men, here X Y. So here when it is crossing here we are able to produce this. One is X and another one is XY. Here we are getting that is X. And lastly we are getting an XY. So this is one, and this is one, and this is one. So here we are able to producing the color blindness sun. Here it is a color blindness sun. And here carrier daughter, and here normal daughter, and here normal sun, it is producing. So here this character, that means from the a grandfather, that character is expressing through the a carrier daughter. From the carrier daughter it passes to the a grandson. So this type of inheritance we can call as a crisscross an inheritance. That means from the father to the carrier daughter, from carrier daughter, that is the character is inherited to the a grandson. So this type of inheritance we can call as a crisscross an inheritance, where example we can take in place a color blindness, as well as we can take in place a hemophilia also. So this is where it is expressed, that is an X-linked inheritance. Now coming to the second type. Here the second type. The second type is the Y-linked inheritance. So here Y-linked inheritance. Here Y-linked inheritance means the somatic characters are determined by the genes which are present on the sex chromosomes, and the sex that is present on the Y chromosome. Y chromosome, and it is called as a sex linked, that is Y-linked, Y-linked characters, and their inheritance is called as a Y-linked inheritance. So here that is determining on the Y chromosome. So that somatic characters are expressing on the Y chromosome. So it is called as Y-linked characters, and an inheritance, such type of inheritance we can call as a Y-linked inheritance. So here Y-linked inheritance example we can take in place as the Y-linked inheritance example we can take in place as hypertrichosis. Hypertrichosis, that is the on the earlobes, the hair is present in the hair present on the earlobes. What is hypertrichosis means? Hair present on earlobes. So here this character is Y-linked, that is this character is transferring from father to the sons only, but not daughters. This character is a transfer only to the sons only, that is only sons only it is transferring, but not to the daughters. Then such type of inheritance is called as a Y-linked inheritance. Example, the hypertrichosis, that is hair present on the ear lobes. So here if you see in this character, that is X is crossed with an XY. So here this character is presenting, it is here consisting of one X character, and here we can produce XY. So here we can able to get an XX, the male, and XY, it is females. So here it is passing only to the sons only, but not to the daughters. So such type of inheritance we can call as is called as hypertrichosis. Otherwise, if you see in here the hypertrichosis, so here when you get here hypertrichosis, here we can able to get the hypertrichosis. So here we can, that is transmitting only to the sons only, but not to the daughters. Then such type of inheritance we can call as an X, that is Y-linked inheritance, that is we can call as hypertrichosis. And last one is that is third one, XY linked inheritance. So what is this XY linked inheritance means? XY linked inheritance. So here XY linked inheritance means the somatic characters determined by the genes present on the XY chromosomes is called as an XY chromosomes. It is present on the an XY chromosomes. It is present on an XY chromosomes. XY the chromosomes, and their inheritance is called as XY linked, and the XY linked inheritance. you called as XY linked inheritance. An example we can take in here. Example for XY linked is Geroderma and nephritis. So here Geroderma and the nephritis are the an XY linked inheritance, that is that somatic characters are determined by the genes which are present on XY chromosomes. So it is called as XY linked characters, and their inheritance is called as XY linked inheritance. Example, that is Geroderma and nephritis. And here the sex linked inheritance. The sex linked inheritance, this was introduced by the scientist called as T.H. Morgan. It was introduced by the T.H. Morgan in the experiment. That experiments are done in by the plant that is called as Drosophila fruit fly plant. Drosophila melanogaster. So here he conducted the experiment in that is a fruit fly plant, that is fruit fly that is called as Drosophila megalaster, where he got the Nobel Prize in the year he got by this experiment. That means for the X-linked, that is sex-linked inheritance, for the invention of sex-linked inheritance on the Drosophila melanogaster in 1933 he got the Nobel Prize. So that means the somatic characters are determined, somatic characters are expressed on the sex chromosomes. So they are called as a sex-linked inheritance. If it is present on X chromosome, we can call as X-linked inheritance. If the somatic characters are present on Y chromosome, we can call as Y-linked inheritance. Example is hypotrichosis. In X-linked example is we can take place as a color blindness and a hemophilia. And XY linked means if the somatic characters are expressing on both X and Y chromosomes, then we can call as XY linked inheritance. So this is the topic of the sex linked inheritance.